Honestly, who do you think would win between Cthulhu and Satan?
I thought you were going to say Cthulhu and John Wick.
Well, John Wick would win that fight.
Naturally.
But Satan and Cthulhu is up for debate. All right, let's go.
I mean, Cthulhu might be Satan, so it's kind of moot.
No. Cthulhu's an elder god. We'll have.
Oh.
Okay, he's beyond reasoning and madness. All right.
Duly noted.
That day, my baby mansplained Lovecraftian demons to me.
I'm former movie trivia schmodown singles champion Marisol McKee, aka Lady Justice.
And I'm former movie trivia schmodown singles champion Adam the Coyote Collins.
We're a few weeks now into 2024, which means we've been thinking about everything that we loved about 2023.
I personally am still playing catch up.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, we usually do.
Like the biggest Nickelodeons we have to get to by locomotive. Like we seriously live in a train town in New England. It's that old fashioned. So it is kind of tough. And I haven't seen Journey to Bethlehem because I don't want to rent it.
We liked our format from last year, the way we did our top 10. So we're going to do it again this year, where we go through our honorable mentions first. And then we're each going to say the unique films that we had in our top 10. We're going to alternate doing that. Our mutual top 10 picks. So none of this is going to be in any particular order. Kicking off our honorable mentions for me is a movie called Rye Lane. Two young 20-somethings. They spend one fateful day together in South London, and both of them are on the cusp, just coming out of some really bad breakups. Yas and Dom is the couple's name, and she is just a ball buster, and she is everything that she's not, and she just invades his space so much in this movie. This sounds like, oh, I've heard this kind of setup in this pitch before. Eccentric woman comes in and changes a shy young man's life and his outlook on love and teaches him how to better himself. What I love about Rye Lane so much is how it balances that out. The pacing, the energy, the colors, the production design, all of the visuals, the aesthetic in this movie is so damn kinetic. It is so fun. It zips. It's short. It's like 80 minutes long, and it absolutely zips by with this feverish energy and this enthusiasm and this lust for life. Just missed being on my top 10, but I cannot recommend it enough.
My first honorable mention, a film from newcomer Carter Smith called The Passenger, starring Kyle Gallner, who's been on an upswing recently. Johnny Berchtold. He and Kyle Gallner, after an upsetting act of violence in the fast food restaurant where they both work, committed by Gallner's character, they embark on a road trip. It's a really upsetting road movie, essentially, where these two characters are going from place to place, and Gallner's character is ostensibly trying to teach Berchtold's character some kind of life lessons. But it's obvious from the outset that Gallner's character is not someone to be giving advice. There's this whole very ghostly ghost town vibe to the whole movie, and it makes it feel even more isolated. It mostly sticks the landing, and it's two really talented young actors feeding off of each other. I don't want to say too much about it because a lot of the best parts about this movie are its surprises. Go see The Passenger. I think it's very interesting.
My next honorable mention is David Fincher's The Killer. First and foremost, Michael Fassbender is my favorite living actor. Sorry, Meryl. Having him come back, we haven't seen him in like 4 years at least since Dark Phoenix
will do that to a guy.
See, we never forget.
Fincher's able to make being an assassin feel like pushing paper at an office. And I really, really like that vibe of this movie.
But here we've got Fassbender back at what he does best, nonverbal acting, and just using it to the nines here, using head-to-toe physicality, getting really inside this meticulous being in a way that is humorous and subversive and satirical to an extent, but also then delivers on the thriller goods when it needs to. A lot of great performances and faces in here. Tilda Swinton, Charles Parnell, among others. It is right there on the cusp of some of my absolute favorite of the year.
My other honorable mention is a movie that I saw on Shudder. I heard a lot about, and that's a film from director Laura Moss called Birth, Rebirth. The film co-stars Marin Ireland and then Judy Reyes.
Scrubs.
Yes. After a tragedy takes place, these two women who work in the same hospital, who don't really know each other, They're suddenly cohabitating under these really dire circumstances, really morbid circumstances. Honestly, it's a drama first. It's a weird drama, but it's a great update to the Frankenstein premise. If we're able to bring life back from death, what are we willing to get ourselves into with other people? Their performances are great. It's such a strong, short script, and it's on Shudder. Please check it out.
And have to sneak it in. Also have to mention Creed 3.
Absolutely.
That is one that is an honorable mention for you and me both.
Mm-hmm.
We love the Creed franchise. We love the Rocky franchise. They mean a lot to us. Really proud of Michael B. Jordan and his directorial debut in this one, and gave us one of the best antagonists in this entire franchise so far in Jonathan Majors.
It's the first film in the entire franchise where Stallone finally took a break. God bless him. I am not going to preclude the possibility of any sequels as long as there's a reason. And Creed 3 proved there can be a good reason. I think it's a great movie.
Our first mutual pick is the movie about the rise and fall of everyone's favorite first smartphone, BlackBerry. 2023 has been like a banner year for corporate startup biodramas, apparently. We had the Tetris movie, we had the Beanie Baby movie, we had the GameStop movie, we had the Flamin' Hot Cheetos movie, we had the Air Jordan movie. This BlackBerry movie really is going to stand out from the pack because it specifically tracks the rise and fall of this product that took the world by storm. We know how much these people crash and burn in this scenario, and that adds this thrill and this, I guess, neutrality.
It's a surprising, refreshing take on the corporate melodrama, as it were. This film is defiantly Canadian, and I love that about it.
So BlackBerry fundamentally centers around this relationship between the two main characters, these two men on complete opposite ends of the spectrum. You've got the computer engineering genius on one side, played by Jay Baruchel, and then you've got the fast-talking, fast-thinking, cutthroat, technologically useless but business-savvy Glenn Howerton on the other end of it.
I feel like Silicon Valley codified a lot of the cliches of these kind of stories, and now we're in almost this postmodern take.
I'm sure much of this is true. I know they dramatize some of it, but it makes for a deliriously entertaining film that is a corporate thriller without anybody ever being in danger. It's thrilling.
But what I like so much about it is it's about the art of bullshitting your way into a job, into success, into developing a successful product. A lot of the best inventions start with people BSing their way into it. It's just a fact. You know, it's basic salesmanship. And that's what this movie understands.
I could cry. I am so happy to see my boy, Glenn Howerton, crushing it in a big screen movie. He has been the best actor on It's Always Sunny for like 20 years almost now. And his character has gotten better and better and better in there. And I'm so happy to see him put his skills to use in such a larger than life big screen character like this. That was really fun.
It doesn't glorify any of these people. It recognizes their flaws. And also you see the way Howerton and Baruchel's characters rub off on each other throughout the film, which is very, very clever. And I think Matt Johnson, who we also recently discovered is one of the most prominent supporting characters in the film.
He's a scene stealer in this movie.
Yeah. This is
him in that headband.
This is a big directorial statement from him.
A lot of wild ass wigs in this movie. That is not the strong point in this movie, I'll tell you that. Yeah, and non-wigs. But it keeps it all funny and kind of ridiculous and kind of loose, but also dramatically searing at the same time.
It shows you how the basic concept of smartphones were developed, and honestly they were done on the fly. They were done through pressure. They were done through peer pressure in a lot of ways, rushing into development. Undeniable indictment of its subject matter. And I think we can all stand to learn a lesson from a failed business like that, but also a lot of businesses owe a debt to that product.
What a blast BlackBerry is. Am I up first?
Absolutely.
Oh, my first in my top 10 is the directorial debut from writer-director Savannah Leaf, and that is A24's Earth Mama. Earth Mama centers around a young 23, 24-year-old pregnant mother named Gia. She is 9 months pregnant, and she already has 2 young children who are in foster care due to Gia's drug dependencies. And she's in now recovery and in a program for young women trying to help them go through that. It's a very quiet, contemplative, and intimate drama about when a young woman at this stage of her life contemplates about motherhood and what her options are. I'm a sucker when a movie really tackles adoption, and it's been a really good year for movies addressing the foster care system, and Earth Mama is no exception. And the themes in this movie are just so powerful, and it's such an impressive debut from Savannah Leaf that there's so much excellent nonverbal direction throughout this whole thing to an incredible degree that almost creates a visual poem and an elegy throughout a lot of this. The acting is a little bit on the more amateur side, but that's only because all of the young cast in this is their first movie that they were in. And the older cast really shines. We got Bokeem Woodbine in here. We got Erica Alexander. But it's really impressive, this young cast, what they're doing in their first feature films. This movie just means too much to me. It's got me crying. Got me crying. I had an overflow of emotion at the end of this. Those stories are super important. And it's even all the more rare when they get shown in a film, and a film that is this good. So I can't not put Earth Mama on my top 10.
All right, starting out my favorites of the year, and I'll keep it brief because we've already discussed it on our channel, but it's Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. I initially was a little conflicted on my feelings about it. Not that I thought it was bad, but I felt that I wanted to connect more with Lily Gladstone's character than was initially portrayed. Having had some time to digest it and think on some of the things mentioned by the filmmakers and the actors, what I've walked away from this film feeling more than anything is that it highlights a period in history that has been overlooked for a very long time. It also is just a very good representation of what has been a generations-long issue and continues to be when it comes to prejudice, not just in general, but against Native American people. This movie is confrontational and important and beautifully made. The soundtrack, the score, fantastic, and a lot of notable supporting performances. No matter where you land on Killers of the Flower Moon, most people could agree it's worth sitting through at least once, and I definitely recommend it.
Next one, we got the latest joint from Alexander Payne, The Holdovers, which we agreed is one of the best of the year.
At face value, it's a story about a handful of kids who have to stay behind during Christmas break and the faculty who have to stay and supervise them. At the head of the pack, you have Paul Giamatti.
Curmudgeon professor extraordinaire.
Very much. Resents his students, wears it on his sleeve proudly. Also helping out Mr. Hunnam during Christmas break is Mary, portrayed by Divine Joy Randolph.
What a wonderful character. She's been getting a lot of love for this performance. Everybody has for this film, and rightfully so. It's really free of a lot of some of the really, really scathing cynicism of a lot of some of his earlier films.
What enriches it so much is the humanity behind it, the connection behind it.
And it made this movie just a lot more accessible than I would have ever thought it was going to be.
It doesn't abandon any of that biting nature that Payne has brought to his movies. What distinguishes this is this idea of found family, which makes it a great double feature with Godzilla -1, honestly.
Oh, snap.
Holdovers became an instant holiday classic for me. It's something I intend to revisit. I already have, so.
No brainer to release this movie around on Christmas, but I think this would be well received no matter what time of the year it got released.
Certainly.
Next up in my corner, and that is How to Blow Up a Pipeline. This is a follow-up movie from Daniel Goldhaber after his breakout Cam. This was a highly just economical thriller. I had no expectations really going into this, but I loved how stripped down this movie is. It just starts the action from the jump, and this whole thing is nerve-wracking. This is about a young group of activists, and they feel like they can't get any change going unless they make it happen themselves, and they group together privately and unhatch this plot to completely blow up this pipeline in middle America. But this whole ensemble, you learn just enough about them to make their plights and their reasons very grounded and very engrossing. And I keep coming back to it. Economical is the word about this thriller. My heart was racing through so much of it. What I appreciate about this movie is how it plays it pretty morally neutral. but it makes you look in a mirror and really question what the nature of extremism is. And extremism is completely subjective based on who's looking in the mirror. And I found all the questions that this movie raises just fascinating. And it's one of the most exciting movies of the year, hands down.
Even though it's a little stressful to play catch up towards the end of the year, which we're still doing, one of the things that's nice about it is discovering and rapid fire some real gems. Something that's really having a moment right now on Netflix is J.A. Bayona's Society of the Snow. Society of the Snow is about the Uruguayan rugby team from 1976 that was also the subject matter of the 1993 film Alive. But the difference with this is in Spanish. This is from a Spanish-speaking director who is very passionate about the subject matter. And we've also had 50 years to live with the events of this movie. And this film tells its own story. So even if you know the details, there's a lot of things that will surprise you. And I don't mean in terms of it being a thriller. It's a drama. This is not a movie that milks sensationalism. It is incredibly respectful and humane. And that is such a tough balance to strike when you're dealing with a story that is incredibly desperate. It's about sinking to the depths of our humanity and what we absolutely have to do to survive. For people to lean on each other the way they do in this story is really moving to watch. And that's like, just even thinking about it, honestly, is really effective. And the score from Michael Giacchino. I mean, that guy is prolific as hell.
Okay.
He scored, My Dreams last night. Frankly, I've never heard him do a score like this. It's beautiful. J.A. Bayona got so much flack for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and I am so not mad at him because this man is way too talented for that. Society of the Snow is beautifully made. It will stick with you, and there are things in it that will probably disturb a lot of people, but it is balanced so well. And I was deeply moved by it.
Well, that was a good start, Coyote. Thanks for joining us for part 1.
Please stay tuned. We're really excited to get into it next.